Okay, so we've done regression, and we've also evaluated the regression. We've done both single and multivariable regression, all linear regression. And now we want to talk about predicting new values. So you recall that we had this linear regression, that we did multivariable regression. We were predicting price based on these three variables, and uh, reading that from this data frame. By the way, I'm just going to try something. Let me try. I'm curious to know what is, if we just type out M, whoops, what do we get? I guess we did that before. So it just gives us the model. Okay. Okay, so now what we can do is we're going to use a function called predict, and we're going to tell it to use this model M, and we're going to provide it with new data to make the prediction on. So the one thing you have to do is make sure that you arrange the data frame that has the new data. It has to be properly arranged. Now, you might just be predicting one case, so you'll just put in one new case and get a prediction out. Or you might have a whole many rows of data that you want to get the, for example, get the price for. So you might want to have many cars that have different MPG highway horsepower and passengers. So one will have like 4, 3, 2 or something like that, and then another one will have like 10, 20, 4, and so on, and you want to predict the price for each one of those. So I'm going to do a little bit of manipulation here. Remember, we started with our data was contained, that we built the model on, was contained in this variable here. Let's see what happens if we, that's going to be too big actually. Let's try, okay, so it looks like that. And I did the dim function here, which is the dimensions of this data frame. And it says the rows and the columns. So there are 93 rows and 4 columns. We can see the 4 columns here. We can only see the first 6 rows. So why don't we redo this using, say, just the first, let's say, first 70 rows for the model, and the last 23 rows for what we're going to test the model, or we're going to make predictions on using the last 23 rows. So we have to create 2 new data sets to do that. So can you see what this is doing? I'm creating a new data frame called training set, and I'm taking what? This is the rows, and this is the columns. There's no specification for the columns, so it's all of the columns. And the rows are just 1 through 70. Let's see if that works. And let's try this. So yeah, it's 70 by 4. And then let's do something, call it the testing set. So test set is, we're taking rows 71 through 93. And let's try that. And let's try, so okay, that looks okay. So this should be okay. I could try head on both the training set and the testing set to see more carefully about it, but I think this is okay. Alright, now we can, let's build the model again. So I'm not going to use the previous model because it included the test set as part of the data, so it's kind of, well, you could do that, but I'm not going to do it. It's more interesting to leave it out, leave test set out when you're building the model. So I'll go back to this statement, and I'll change the data set to training set, and then build the model. Okay, presumably the model is different than it was before. In fact, let's look at it. I should have saved the old model, but anyway, let's see what it looks like here. So what was the other model? This one is 3.78978. Yeah, it's different, very different, or it's definitely different. It's not very different necessarily, but anyway, okay, so it's different. All right, now let's do the prediction on the new data. So now we can run the prediction on the test set. Now notice that our test set has, of course, has the price data. If you don't remember that, you could do this just to make sure that it's true. So you can see that it does have price data, but your data doesn't have to have that. You can have, in fact, let's try this just to show you. You could do this instead. Let's try this first. In fact, let's do this. Let's make a new data frame called PREDS, and this is going to be data dot frame, and we're going to say MPG. Let me just stop. So we could just do it this way. We create just a simple data frame, and we only we don't have the price in the data frame. We just have, so we only have one row, and it doesn't even contain price. It just contains this one, and this one. And then we could run this. So then we could run this. So we're predicting, we're using our model that we built on this new data, which is only one row, and we don't even have price. Now I'm going to do it next time. I was going to do it already using the test set, which does have the new row, but I guess it just replaces what I'm sorry, it does have the price data, but I guess it just replaces that with the predicted values. So there's now, for just this one, for a 33 mile per gallon highway, horsepower of 200, and passengers equals 5. The predicted price is, I guess, $26,000. Okay, now let's do it with a whole large data set. So let's do it with where the new data is not just one row like it was before, not just this row here, but it's the whole test set. And remember, the test set already has price, so I guess it's just going to replace that price. In fact, we can check that afterwards. Okay, so this is the result. For the 71st row, it predicts 23. For the 72nd row, it predicts 11. For the 73rd row, it predicts 7.5. All the way up to the 93rd row is 22.8. So I don't remember what the, let's check, what was the 93rd row of our data set? Now it gets a little confusing here because the test set starts with row 71, so I guess it holds on to the original row numbers from our original data set, doesn't renumber them with calling it row 1, row 2, row 3. It's a little bit confusing, but anyway, so let's look at say row 93 of the test set. So we can use this. Maybe it doesn't hold on to them. Then I'm very confused. I don't know why it's giving me row 72 here. Maybe this is just like a name, and this is the actual. Let's try this. This is the original data frame. So row 93 we had MPG highway was 28, 168 for horsepower and 5 for passengers, and it predicted 26.7. And on the other hand, for sorry, it didn't predict 26.7. The actual price was 26.7, but we see here that it's predicting 22.84. So it wasn't exactly right because the actual price was 26.7, but the prediction up here for the 93rd row is 22. So at least we can see that it's different than the actual one. So it's not just, anyway, at least we can see that it's different. And we see that it's predicting 22.8, whereas the actual price was 26.7. So there's an error, of course, in the prediction. Okay, so you've seen you can just put in some one row of data, or you can put in a whole data frame. And your data frame, I believe it doesn't need to contain the price data, but it's okay if it does contain it. It's just going to override it with the prediction, so to speak. Okay.